I'm here this afternoon with Karen Vaughn, Gold Star mom. Thank you for staying after to spend a few minutes with me. You just spoke at the Concerned Veterans for America luncheon here in San Angelo, sharing your incredible story, your son's story. But one of the and I'm going to encourage everybody, go listen to her presentation. I don't even want to go there. She just so beautifully, with her passion, shares from the heart the importance of loving our country. And that's where I really want to pick up from, because you really didn't have time to go into it. But America has changed over the years. And the civics and citizenship and patriotism that we grew up with is not the same today. So what are you seeing across the country as you're traveling?
You know, what I'm seeing is just what you said. My husband and I talk all the time, and what we say is, I cannot believe how far this nation has slipped in just the 5 years since our son died. He wouldn't even recognize America. You know, one thing that we say all the time is that if the masterminds of 9/11 had, sat down at a table and tried to foresee in the future what the world would look like by 2016, they would not believe what has been accomplished. And it wasn't accomplished at their hands, it was accomplished at our hands. It was accomplished inside this country. You know, just like my son, 22 members of SEAL Team 6 and 5 other Special Forces members, pararescue members from the Air Force, were taken down by an enemy that was only made formidable by the United States government. You know, our thing has been, if we're going to go to war and fight, if we're going to send our sons and daughters to fight, and I was completely willing to do that. It's not like I had a choice anyway, but once parents say, okay, I release you, we put them under the trust of the United States government. We believe that they have their best interests at heart, but that is not what's happening on the war fronts right now, and Americans need to understand that. And I'm not anti-war at all. I've never been that person. I understand there's a need for war. I'm proud of my son and the life he chose. But look, if you're going to send our sons and daughters to war, you better have an end game in mind, and you better, I know we've gotten off on the war now, but all of this is playing right back into our society, because what I mentioned during my speech that I was arguing with a woman the other day online about some vast differences that we had about our culture. And what I forgot to say, what I neglected to say that was the critical piece of information, is she's an educator at the University of Miami. And she literally hates a whole section of this country. And I'm thinking, you're in a classroom teaching young
influencing minds.
Forming minds, that's right. And this is what I think has happened. I think that there's been a strategy in place in our country for many years, and I think we slept through a lot of it, and I think what we're seeing now is the unfolding of it in full mass, and that is our education systems are absolutely full of indoctrination to hate America, of indoctrination to see America as the big bully on the world scene who took over other people's countries. They don't see the side of America that millions of dollars are sent to Haiti when there's a crisis,
right.
When there's a natural crisis, or the kind of people we are when, I say all the time, like, the American soldier never fights because they hate what's in front of them. They fight because they love what's behind them. We go and we defend.
Well said.
We defend what we love and what we cherish, and that is freedom. That's a way of life that no other nation knows, frankly. And so, that's why I always say, if somebody hates this country, I'll pitch in on your ticket to get out of it, because I'm tired of the hate America mentality, but that's where we've taken our youth for more than one generation now.
And we're seeing it on the football field now.
Everybody look, even right down to the high school football fields now. And this is a real shame. If and another thing that we really lose here is when you teach students that they can't believe in anything, that they can't be proud of anything, then what are you giving them? Like, we always tell our kids, well, go be part of a team, because team sports make you, have something other than yourself to root for, something larger than you to try for. You put your effort out because the team needs your effort. And that's, to me, like, that's the picture of America too. How we grew up in our generation is, we grew up as Americans. It was one for all and all for one. Did we have our problems? Do we still? Of course we do. But we believed in something greater than ourselves. Yeah. And that's what we're missing in a lot of the culture today is children rising up and young adults that have risen up in this era where they're told to not believe in anything greater than themselves. Just believe in yourself and be selfish and be self-indwelled and don't give and don't support and don't, just me. And we're witnessing, a culture just gone awry, and it's hard to take. Once you've buried a son who died to protect this way of life, and you watch people trying to rip it out from under you, you feel very defensive. You feel very, it's a very stressful thing. It's not funny, and it's not something that can be taken care of 10 years from now. It needs to change now.
Today.
That's right.
I don't think we have 10 more years
No,
going
I
the
don't
direction
either.
we're going. As you travel across the country, are you seeing any bright lights, positive things, or is it pretty much the same across the U.S.?
No, I always try to encourage people by telling them that there are patriots. We far outnumber the people who do not love this country.
But they've got to wake up.
The patriots far outnumber them, but we also have something that's not in common with the people who hate America, and that's that because of the level of respect we generally show other people, we don't go at the other side the way they go at us. We don't make the big social media pushes because we respect them. We respect their freedom. It's just such a
We allow
culture.
them to
we
express.
allow them to
Yeah.
express what they want to. It's them that are completely intolerant of those of us who are completely tolerant, and we bend over backwards. Like, I referenced that conversation I had earlier again. I'm bending over backwards trying to understand what else I can do, to stop some of this onslaught of hatred towards I'll just say it, by this particular woman. I'm not talking about any generalities. I'm talking about this particular woman had a hatred for white people, and I'm like, what can I do? I would love to sit down with her at coffee and have a piece of pie and some coffee together and say, I'm not your enemy.
Sure.
Like this thing is, there's a hysteria going on here where things are just driven so far past what's rational, and then all the emotion comes in that irrational emotion that's generated from it, and then we're at war, and then I'm saying, not me, because I try really careful, but then I see people who are on my camp who feel like I do, getting just as nasty right back because they're feeling a sense of frustration. They do not know how to battle this. Yeah. It's one thing when somebody says something about you and it's true.
Yes.
Because then you can respond and say, I never really thought about how I made you feel when I did that.
Yeah.
But when it's not true, there's no way to defend yourself from it, and so it just creates anger and head butting, and so we've got to fix these things, and then what it is mainly is the most important thing, and I think is it's distracting us from the real issues going on.
Amen.
Iran building nuclear arms, us handing Iran, I don't even know what the end number is now. I think I've heard like it's 1.7 billion in cash. And us trading people like my son gave their lives to capture,
yes.
and we're just emptying Gitmo, or we're trading 5 of them for a traitor, and we're celebrating the traitor's family at the Rose Garden, and it's making my mind feel like it's going to explode, and so we feel helpless, but we outnumber them. We just have to unite, and we have to do it. We have to do it with kindness and love, of course, but we have to do it with force too. We have to. I'm not talking about physical force. I'm talking about mental force. I'm talking about we have to be intentional about correcting these things and teaching this next generation what the truth is about American history. That it's not, there's dark moments in American history. We all hate that in our generation, but that's not who we are right now.
Yeah. People have to wake up. What would you like to see? I mean, if there was like a next step, something that could occur, what's the next step that you would like to see in awakening America back to truth and coming back to whatever that center standard would be?
I think that, this is really off guard, and I'm saying this as Karen Vaughn, not as a representative of CVA, but the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is to make education private, instead of education, all of the curriculum coming from a national level down. I think that, like having the ability to choose the school that your children went to, I think that could prevent a lot of what's happening, because right now our children are just being spoon-fed.
Indoctrinated.
Whatever political agenda the current commander-in-chief has, and that's a dangerous thing. Or not even him, but whatever the hierarchy, thousands of miles removed from the culture that our students are actually living in, or are telling them the way the world works, and they're also telling them things contrary to what their parents teach. I think if schools came back to a community mentality, where communities work together to support schools that taught proper curriculum, that taught real American history, that sort of thing, I think that would be a great starting place. But it's going to take a long time to correct, because it took a long time to get here.
Yeah. Well, they've removed so much out of history.
Right.
And
I think there's students right now who don't even know what 9/11 was. They were children when it happened, and they're not even being taught about 9/11 as part of America's history.
That's right.
How can that be?
They've totally removed that the terrorists that day were Muslim, just like they have removed the Holocaust out of World War II. It's amazing.
I know.
But that's part of the indoctrination.
It's an agenda to create a systemic belief that we are bad, we don't deserve anything, all we really should be is just willing to empty our pocketbooks, give everybody our entire paycheck every week so that everyone from the country can profit from our sorry lives, because we're so worthless and we're so undeserving of anything good. I mean, that's actually what they're being taught, that we're worthless people.
The rise of Barry Sanders for president and the socialism that he represented showed the mentality of the young.
Could you even believe that we had Bernie? Did you even believe that we had a socialist and a criminal running on the Democratic ticket? I mean, honestly, somebody who everybody in this country knows is a legitimate criminal. I mean, and then Bernie Sanders,
But then there's the issue, because the government hasn't done anything about who they've got running on one of the tickets. It's reflective. It comes back on the shoulders of us, because it's reflective of what we've allowed. Yes.
And the way we've sat silently while so many things were shifting in this country, and people like me were asleep and not paying attention, and it grew into our culture, and we didn't know what to do to stop it. Even when we did wake up, we would just vocalize it. And that's one thing I'm really learning, is there's a lot of difference between talking about what's wrong and doing something about what's wrong. And that's what America has to start understanding, is if we don't do something right now, we are going to watch America go right over the edge of that cliff.
Quickly.
It's over.
We're leaning real far right now, but I think it's going to be our generation it's where it's got to start. We have a long way to go. Any last thoughts on anything you'd like to share?
I guess just what I always want people to know is that I believe in this country. I believe in the American people. I believe that, like I said, the majority of us, I do travel the country. I see people like us everywhere who tears run down their face when they, say the Pledge of Allegiance or sing the national anthem, because they understand. They understand what a great society we live in. They understand that we are not an oppressed people. That somebody that can come to America, or can be born in America, or migrate here, and they can achieve anything that they fight hard enough to achieve. And I believe that enough people believe in that if we are backed into a corner, and which I think we finally are, we literally feel backed into a corner, we will respond, and we will, we'll have a voice again, and that's just what we've got to do, is not just have a voice, but have action with it,
There's nowhere else to go if we lose our country.
People are trying to get into America. Nobody from America is trying to break down the borders of another nation.
That's right. Exactly. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your message that you're taking across this country, because people do need to hear it. And coming from a Gold Star mom adds that additional value to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.